Hello everyone, so we're here with the budgeting part 2. If you have not watched part 1 yet, please do so before watching this video. Otherwise you'll be very lost. So we're working with the same LEQ, what is a budget and its essential components. Now a quick review. We are now in Unit 5, which is financial literacy. So if someone were to ask you what is financial literacy, you're not going to say the ability to read finance. It's much more general than that. Google, the favorite wise man, defines it as the ability to understand how money works in the world, how someone manages to earn or make it, and how that person manages it, how he or she invests it, which we will be getting into as well. Now, we had discussed in class, a budget is simply this. It's an account of income, that is how much money you make, and expenditures, how much money you spend for a specified period of time. For the purposes of this class and for the purposes of your life, specified period of time refers to 1 month. 1 month is that specified period of time. So there are 3 essential components that you must begin before even establishing a budget that you must know. We have the average monthly income, which was the topic of last night's video, budgeting part 1. And today we are covering fixed cost and variable costs. Okay, so a fixed cost is just that. It's a cost that is fixed, a cost that does not change. The first thing that should come to mind when I say fixed cost are bills. What bills do you have every single month? The reason budgets are established monthly is because the billing cycle for pretty much everything is monthly, whether it is your Bright House bill, your cell phone bill, your car payment, car insurance, rent. These are all examples of fixed costs. That is, they do not change they do not change from month to month. So me personally, some examples of my fixed costs are my Verizon bill, my cell phone bill. We have my Liberty Mutual auto insurance bill. What are the fixed costs? I have my Gold's Gym. That's a fixed cost as well. It's the same amount every single month. I know without a doubt that the same amount is going to be taken on my bank account every single month. So you all are going to need to, if you're more financially independent, I want you to pause the video here and start jotting down and tracking your fixed costs. Again, these are costs that do not change. If your cell phone bill is the same every month, it's a fixed cost. If your car insurance is the same every month, it's a fixed cost. So please pause the video here and make a quick little note of the fixed costs that you currently have. If you do not have any, bear with me. I'll get to you all in a moment. The next thing you must know before even establishing a budget are variable costs. I like to call variable costs categories, and I'll tell you why here in a moment. So variable costs are just that. If fixed costs are costs that don't change, i.e. bills, variable costs are costs that do change. Costs that change from person to person, from month to month. Now, what I put down here are some common categories, and I'm stressing that term, categories of variable costs. So these are actually my personal variable costs that I have decided to establish for myself. Now, if you notice, I have not attached numbers to this yet. We will be getting to that in class, but I just developed categories. Now, for variable costs, each of you may have different categories based on your spending habits. So variable costs for me, I have food. When I say food, I'm not talking about McDonald's and going out to eat at restaurants like Chili's. I'm talking about grocery store food. When I go to Publix, Whole Foods, Walmart, whatever, food that I buy to put in our refrigerator. So that's a variable cost because it really does change from week to week. Some weeks I spend $150, some weeks I spend $201, some weeks I spend $175. It's a variable cost. It changes. Even though it's something I had to have to survive, the cost does change. I have entertainment. These are things like when my wife and I go on a date, or we go see a movie, or if I go play laser tag with the buddies, whatever it is. Things I do for fun. I have that category. Gas. I live in Orlando, and that's a lot of gas for a truck. That's a variable cost as well. The cost of gas changes almost daily. How much I use on a monthly basis changes. It's a variable cost that changes. And finally, me personally, I have a category that's called miscellaneous expenses, MISC. That is shorthand for miscellaneous. So that's just anything that does, any costs that come up, like, I don't know, if my truck breaks down, I have to get a new water pump, or medical bills or something like this. That's a cost that doesn't fit into any of these categories. So I'd like you guys to do right now, I want you to think about your own personal spending habits and start to develop categories. For instance, let's say there are people in here who are very fashion conscious, or They have to make sure they have their swag. I believe that is the term you use. And you know for a fact that every month you are going to buy X number of dollars worth of clothes so you can stay on top of fashion or keep your swag levels high or however that stuff works. You may want to have a category of fashion or of clothing. So let's say you are someone who regularly invests in their truck. You are putting money in your truck all the time. You may want to have a category of truck upgrades. Again, this is something you do monthly, guys. So if you haven't upgraded your truck in 6 months, then you're not going to have a category for that. That'll come out of savings. So think about your personal spending habits. Things that you know you're going to spend money on. If it's video games, you're going to have a video game category. Whatever works for you. These 4 that I have here, these are my personal 4 categories that I found that works for me. Now, if you have a vehicle, I imagine most of you are going to have a gas category. If you like to have fun and don't live under a rock, I imagine most of you are going to have an entertainment category. Now, many of you may have a food category, but you're not going to count it as going to Publix and Walmart because your parents provide groceries like that. You may have a fast food or eating out category, which is stuff like Taco Bell, McDonald's, Chili's, and all that good stuff. So this is up to you all. I must emphasize this. Variable costs are up to you all. We will be discussing this more in class tomorrow. Okay, so you guys have some homework on top of this homework video I want you to do, and hopefully you've already done it. If you have not done so, you need to figure out your average monthly income. If you do not know what I'm talking about, that means you do not watch part 1 of the budgeting series. You need to figure out your average monthly income. Again, guys, average monthly income. The more paychecks you can include in that average, the more accurate it's going to be. If you've been working at Chick-fil-A the past 6 months and I'm pretending they get paid bi-weekly, go back and look at your last 12 paycheck stubs or last 12 direct deposits and average all those numbers together. That is going to give you a very accurate average of how much you make per month. Of course, some months you're going to make a little bit more, some months a little bit less, but we're going for the average here. Here's the next thing I need you to do. I want you to determine your monthly fixed costs. If your parents currently pay your bills, sit down with them and say, hey, Mom, hey, Dad, Grandma, Grandpa, whoever it is you live with, and say, how much is my cell phone bill? How much do you pay for my cell phone bill? How much do you pay for my car insurance? Just ask them. I'm sure they would love to have this conversation with you about how much they spend on you guys. Determine your fixed cost. And finally, I want you to begin to develop categories for your own personal variable costs. Again, that varies from person to person. Think about your own expenses. So that's what I'd like to have you guys done before you come to class tomorrow. You need to have a number for me. That number represents your average monthly income. You need to have fixed cost for me. Again, that's going to vary from person to person. And you need to have categories that work for you. Again, if you know you're a video gamer and you're going to buy video games every single month regardless of what's going on, you should have a video game entertainment category or something like that. Me personally, if you take a look at my categories, I purposely try to keep them very general so I can fit as much stuff into them as I need to. Entertainment is very general. Miscellaneous expenses is also very general. Basically, if it's not food, if it's not for fun, if it's not gas, it goes in miscellaneous expenses. This is a good category for you guys to have, but that's entirely up to you to decide. Okay, time for our LEQ and review. What is a budget and its essential components? We had defined budget. It is taking your income, subtracting your expenditures over a specified period of time, which is generally a month. Now, guys, I want to understand something. We have not even started a budget yet. We've been determining what you must know before starting a budget. We have not done hardly any numbers at all yet. The 3 things you must know before starting a budget are your average monthly income, your fixed cost, and your variable cost. Okay, let's do some extra credit. Now, in budgeting part 1, you guys had to stand up when I ring the bell and say, I want a treat. When you come to class tomorrow, you're going to do the exact same thing and say, I want more. You guys did very good today. I want the same level of enthusiasm. As soon as I ring that bell and say, I need all eyes on me, you're not going to look around and be afraid of feeling silly if no one else does it. You're just going to stand up and you're going to say, I want more. Just like that. And you will get more. So please participate in that. So right here, if you have a part-time job, you are done. You may stop the video now. I'm about to begin talking to all the students who do not have a part-time job and how we are going to work through this unit with them. So again, if you have a part-time job, you're done. Turn the video off. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in class tomorrow. If you do not have a part-time job, you need to keep watching for the next few minutes. So right now I'm talking to people who do not have a part-time job. Here's what you're going to do for the next 4 weeks as we work through this unit and on our next project. We are going to assume that you're working an average part-time job. We're going to assume, and I think these are all very reasonable assumptions, we are going to assume that you're going to work an average of 20 hours a week. Some weeks you may work 25, some weeks you may work 18, but let's say it's going to average out to be 20 hours a week at the minimum wage rate of $8.05 an hour. So here's how this is going to work. That means every week, this is before taxes, you make $161 of weekly income. But we don't want weekly income. We want monthly income. So if you take 161, multiply it by 4 weeks in a month, you get $644. Now that number sounds lovely, but that number is before taxes. A rough estimate, and we will be getting the taxes, income taxes, but for now, I want you guys to work with $500, okay? So after taxes, if you're working a minimum wage job averaging about 20 hours a week, you're going to make about $500 a month. So anytime we're talking about average monthly income for budgeting, those of you without your own part-time job, you're going to use the $500 number, okay? Furthermore, I am well aware that many of you are still dependent on your parents, and that's fine. You're in high school. Good for you if you're still dependent on your parents. What you're going to need to do is you're going to need to sit down and have a conversation with them. I want you to start talking to them about bills they pay directly for you. So we're not talking about utility bills like water bill and electricity bill. We're talking about things like if they pay your car insurance or your cell phone bill, things of that nature, fixed costs they pay for you. And also, if your parents give you allowance or if they buy stuff for you, I want you to start asking them how much all of that stuff costs. How much do they spend on you in a month for entertainment? How much do they spend a month on you when you guys go out to eat or go to Arby's or Taco Bell or whatever it is? So you're going to have a conversation with your parents or guardians to get this information. The most important thing is that you're going to be using $500 for your average monthly income. Thank you for watching the video. See you all in class tomorrow.